I made this top this weekend and it's got me thinking about fast fashion. Fast fashion is a business model. It generates profit through the rapid production of inexpensive clothing, perpetuating an increasingly rapid trend cycle. The ideal consumer for fast fashion is someone who feels pressure to keep up with trends, who sees clothing as a short-term, disposable investment, and who is disconnected from the labour, waste and environmental destruction behind their purchases. Obviously, people can be on a spectrum with all of those things, but I would say, particularly the last point, it is hard to grow up in the UK and to not experience that disconnection. I spent a lot more money on the fabric and pattern for this top than I would usually expect a top on the high street to cost. I also spent 2 days making it with a lot of help and instruction from my mum. This is the first garment I've made in my adult life, and it was quite challenging, the sleeves especially. Making this has brought into sharper focus for me the level of entitlement that we express through buying fast fashion. It's not necessarily that we feel consciously entitled to the labour that goes into a garment, but at the end of the day, if I'm looking at a top that would take me 2 days to make and thinking, 25 quid, that's a bit expensive, clearly a level of entitlement is embedded into my psyche. Obviously, a key element of fast fashion is that it is produced quickly through an assembly line, but even if I were able to make this top at the speed at which it could be made by garment workers in a factory, I would say that £25 is a shockingly low price paid for the labour involved. And of course, such prices are only achievable through the exploitation of workers. I'm fairly minimalist with my wardrobe, which itself keeps my participation in fast fashion relatively low, but in terms of what is actually in my wardrobe, it's a mixture of charity shop finds, some items from ethical clothes shops, and items from the high street or from supermarkets. I made this because, frankly, I've been looking for a top that I really like for a long time in all of the above sources, and it hasn't shown up, and it is the minimalist in me that has resisted buying tops that are only okay. I wasn't expecting to feel this deeper sense of connection with what it really means to clothe oneself, an essential part of human life that has been largely driven by underappreciated women. But it's a pleasant byproduct of the process, and I think it will stick with me for a while. But I am just one person, and systemic issues always require systemic solutions. If workers were properly paid, clothes would be more expensive and we would have no choice but to be more mindful with what we purchase and how we take care of our clothes. This is quite a hard thing to digest because most of us, myself included, will not be involved with such a systemic change. And so we come back to what we have more control over, our decisions as individuals. My perspective is that changing your own habits and inspiring others to do so is always worth it, even if it is just a drop in the ocean, because there are huge psychological, spiritual and communal benefits to living mindfully and with integrity. But I also believe that contempt and resentment for people who don't follow your path is a misuse of your energy. It feels productive, but that's an illusion.